Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. So, I wanted to share with you a little bit more about forgiveness. And one of the thoughts that came to my mind is a lot of people feel like somehow by forgiving others, we're letting them off the hook. And that's not true. It doesn't mean that we're allowing ourselves to be abused or taken advantage of anymore. And it also doesn't mean that we are encouraging or enabling them to do that. And one of the things that I'd like you to think about is who ends up getting hurt when you forgive and when you don't forgive. So when you don't forgive someone, we might in our imagination think that somehow we're hurting the other person, that we're holding it over their heads, that we're holding it against them for the rest of their lives. But honestly, are they actually affected by your lack of forgiveness? If I don't forgive, for example, my parents for something that they've done, they're sleeping at night the same way. If somebody cuts you off in traffic and you don't forgive them, they don't even know that you're holding enmity against them. It doesn't even affect them in the least. We don't gain anything by holding on to resentment. We don't hurt the other person. They have no idea. Most of the time they go on with their lives like nothing ever happened. It doesn't affect them whatsoever. Even if you complain to them in person and say, "Oh, I haven't forgiven you," they shrug their shoulders and move on with life. It doesn't hurt them. And we imagine somehow that holding on to that anger makes it so that they feel pain, but they don't. They're moving on. They're losing no sleep about it. They're moving on with their life. And the question is, how are you moving on with your life? Because when I hold on to unforgiveness and resentments, I'm the one who's stuck with the toxicity. I'm the one who's stuck with the anger and the rage. And I'm the one who hasn't grieved the loss. And so it's stuck inside of me, eating away at me. Every time we have a conversation about this person, it brings back all of those memories of pain and suffering. Why not let it go? So that's one of the points that I wanted to make, is that ultimately, when you do not forgive someone else, they're not affected by it in the least. It doesn't hurt them. It doesn't make them feel bad. It doesn't do anything. But it does hurt us, and it does consume us. So that was just a quick tip on one of the additional benefits of forgiveness and making sure that we allow ourselves to heal fully and experience that potent cure by forgiving the people in our lives who have intentionally and unintentionally harmed us, so that we're no longer being hurt again and again and again every time it comes up. So one of the things, I don't know if it is clear, but one of the things that happens when you don't forgive is that every time that person or that idea comes up, you re-experience the trauma, you re-experience the pain because you didn't get over it the first time. But by processing it and forgiving and grieving the loss, that's the way that we make progress and release ourselves from the chains of that painful experience. One thing I wanted to also share was that, a lot of people wonder, well, how do you actually forgive? What's the process? And really, the process of forgiveness is identical in almost every single way to the process of grieving the loss. So we talked about the fact that there's a grief cycle, that when something bad happens in your life or something difficult happens in your life, or even something good, but we interpret it in a negative way or a harmful way, we have to grieve that loss. And it starts by feeling the emotion that it causes, which is in general anger. And then after you express all of that anger and let it out, you experience the sadness and you mourn and you cry out your heart and you let it all go. And you let it, and you feel your feelings, right? You don't stuff them, you feel your feelings. And after you've expressed the anger and you've felt the sadness and cried about it, then you transition and you are able to make a different meaning about it and release whatever harm and loss you experienced. And then you're able to accept it and come to peace. And that same process is involved in the forgiveness cycle, if you will. Because when someone has done something wrong to you, it is a loss that has to be grieved. And by going through the grief cycle, you are able to forgive the other person. And I remember there was a talk in which a scholar was talking, and he said, there are some people who say, "I will forgive you, but I will never forget." And then he said, they have neither forgiven nor forgotten, neither of them. When you actually forgive someone, one of the signs that you'll know that you've been successful is that it doesn't hurt you anymore to talk to that person or about that person or around that person, that you feel not triggered, you feel not emotionally reacted or reactive around that person. When you can be just as calm, with your best friend as you can with someone who hurt you in the past, that's how you know that your forgiveness has been complete. And again, there are levels. Like, it's not just black and white, either you're forgiven or not forgiven. There are many levels, and sometimes it takes time and various attempts and multiple attempts to continue to forgive someone. I do know that there are some people in my life that I've forgiven partially or some way, and I'm still working on it. And of course, that's something that is the goal of all of us, is to continuously grieve our losses and continuously forgive so that we are able to heal from the harms that have happened. And it doesn't happen overnight, but that's okay. It happens in its own time, as long as we're making progress in that direction and as long as we're walking on that path. So that's what I wanted to share today, and I hope to hear from you soon. Wa alaikum assalam, and peace be upon you.